Sawadee ka! Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen! So a while back I shared with you a recipe from my favorite granola, and many of you have made it and have reported back happily, so I'm super happy to hear about that. But today I've got one more for you, and this is new, and this has become our new favorite one in my family, and this one is Thai inspired. Yes, so the idea of this came from a Thai snack called graya sat, which is basically our version of a chewy, sticky granola bar, except instead of oats, we use puffed rice. So I thought, what if I use the flavor of graya sat and apply it to the Western granola using oatmeal? How would that work? I tried it out and it worked out so well, and I thought I have to share this with you guys. It's so good. All right, let's get started. First, let's make the syrup for our oats. So I've got here some Thai palm sugar that I've chopped, but you can also just use light brown sugar if you want, but the palm sugar, if you have it, really adds a nice Thai flavor to this granola. And that's going into our pot right here. And now a little bit of coconut milk. And instead of using regular neutral flavored oil that I normally use in my granola, I'm going to add virgin coconut oil. And you want to use virgin coconut oil, not refined coconut oil, because refined coconut oil has no flavor in it. So that's good for cooking when you don't want the coconut flavor, but now we definitely do. And a little bit of salt to balance out all that sweetness. And I'm just going to bring this to a simmer. And I'm going to cook this just until the sugar is completely dissolved. Okay, so it really does not need to be boiling like this, but this stove is so strong, it doesn't do low heat very well. But it's okay that it does. It's just hard when it's foaming so much to see whether the sugar has been dissolved. So I just want to keep checking that there's no more lumps of sugar. Yeah, I think we're good there. All right, I'm gonna turn that off. That smell reminds me of Thai grilled bananas, and they basically grill Thai bananas and then pour a syrup of palm sugar and coconut over it. It's one of my favorite things, and this just smells so much like that. Very nice. Oh, so that is our syrup. How simple is that? Now, key ingredient in this recipe, sesame seeds. I'm going to add both black and white sesame seeds. You can just add one, but if you only add white, you won't really be able to see them at the end because they'll just kind of blend in with everything else. So I like a little bit of black. Make sure you toast these first so that they are aromatic, just in a dry saute pan until they start to pop and smoke a little bit and become really aromatic. You can tell, it'll smell really good. Now, if I throw the sesame into the cooked granola, what's gonna happen is they're not gonna stick. They're gonna just like fall to the bottom of the bag, right? So you don't wanna do that. What you wanna do is add them to the syrup, and the syrup will help the sesame seeds stick to the oats at the end. And you wanna do this to any small thing that you wanna add to granola. Granola is very flexible. You can add chia seeds, whatever little seeds you want, right? But if they're really small, you wanna put them in the syrup. All right, so that's it. Now let's get the oats. So I've got some regular rolled oats here, but quick oats, if that's what you already have for your oatmeal, that'll work as well. Quick oats will actually be a little bit more crisp and delicate, where these will have a firmer crunch. So whatever you want. Now, pour the syrup all over the oats. Oh yes, so good. Now, you want to quickly mix that in. You don't want the syrup to cool down, otherwise they'll have a hard time sort of being distributed. At this point, you might be tempted to add cinnamon, add vanilla, add whatever spices you want. But I'm telling you, if you want to experience the pure flavor of graya sat, don't add anything. Don't add cinnamon, don't add anything. Just the flavor of palm sugar and coconut and sesame is what you want to shine in this, okay? Oh, that looks so good. That looks so good. You want to spread it out onto a baking sheet that's been lined with either a silicone pad or parchment paper. And you want to get it as evenly spread out as possible. And I like to actually make a hole in the middle just for more even baking, because I find that it'll bake evenly around the edge and there's always a patch in the middle that's not quite as cooked. So if I just don't put anything there, then I don't have to deal with that problem. So this is going to go into a 325-degree oven for about 30 to 35 minutes, and you want to stir it halfway through to make sure everything is evenly distributed. So it's only been halfway through, so it does not look like much has happened. But you want to give them a stir and redistribute anyway to make sure you have an even cooking. So I just bring the outside in to a pile and then sort of like redistribute from there. And you want these as thinly spread out as possible so they cook faster. All right, back into the oven for another 15 minutes, or really at this point, however long it's gonna take until these become a little bit darker and crispy. So while the granola is baking, I want to talk you through our add-ins. So when it comes to granola, you can add whatever dried fruits or nuts you want, but if you want that Thai flavor, a couple things that you want to have. First, and I would say the most important, is toasted coconut. So I've got these flakes right here, which I like the look of. Also, most kayasat uses this shape of coconut, so it's a little bit more reminiscent. But you can also just use the shredded, finely shredded coconut. But if you use those, again, you want to add it to the syrup with the sesame seeds. Otherwise, they're not going to stick. They'll just fall all to the bottom. And I just toasted this in a dry saute pan until they're nice and dark. None of that blonde, golden coconut, okay? Golden coconut has no flavor. You want dark brown toasted like this, okay? Now, for a true grayasat flavor, you also want to have some peanuts. So I've got here some roasted peanuts. I leave them in the skins because it's just, nice pops of color that way, but they definitely don't have to be in the skin. Again, I roasted these in the oven just for about 20 minutes at 350. If you're allergic to peanuts, cashews will work as well. Cashew is the other Thai nut, I suppose. And in addition to that, I'm also going to throw in some pumpkin seeds because I like the green that pumpkin seeds add to granola. So that's just an aesthetic thing. You don't have to add it. Now, when it comes to dried fruit, I want to add a Thai dried fruit that I just recently got a hold of, and that is dried longans. Yes, so these are Thai dried longans, and longans are these sweet, juicy, super fragrant fruit, and the dried version is, to me, just as delicious as the fresh one. You can actually buy the Chinese dried longans at most big Asian supermarkets. You want to choose ones that are dried out of the shell, because you can also buy whole dried longans. That's not what we want. And you want to pick ones that are lighter in color, more golden. Those are fresher. As they become older and over, they do get darker a little bit. So just go for the lighter ones. If you want to buy Thai dried longans, you can get them on Amazon if you're in the US. So I'll put a link to that maybe if I can find it. And then I'm also going to add some tart cranberries just because these are not Thai obviously, but because the longans are super sweet, a little bit tartness is a nice contrast. Look at this, the color has darkened and you want to make sure that it's crispy. So if I take the end here, you can obviously see this is crispy, right? But when it first comes out of the oven, it's not going to be crispy because it's hot. So you can only check for crispness after it's cooled down. So if you're not sure, you can always take a little bit and blow on it really quickly to check if it's crispy or not. But I find that if the color has darkened significantly, visibly, chances are it's already crispy. Look. So good. Not too sweet. It has that iconic grayasat flavor, and it's even going to taste more like grayasat once we add our coconut. Okay, so this has cooled. I'm just gonna add it all to my mixing bowl. What, you want some? Adam cannot wait. Just gonna take all of this, stuck together now, don't worry. We'll break it up in the bowl. Yes, listen to the sound of crispiness. Now, this is enough. I mean, you can just put this in a container and just snack on it. But to make it complete, we've got to add all our other stuff. So just want to break the big chunks down a little bit. It's a little more manageable. In goes our coconut, the most important thing. Some peanuts and some cashews. Why not? That looks like a bit much. Pumpkin seeds. And of course, the star of the show, some dried longans. And when it comes to granola, you can add as much or as little of the fruits and nuts as you want. It's completely up to you. It doesn't affect the recipe at all. There we go. Give it a nice toss. A bigger bowl would be nice. How pretty is this? So now I want to do a final taste with all the little components. I want to make sure I get some peanuts in there, definitely some coconut in there. I got a longan, maybe a cranberry. It's kind of surreal actually, like because you know, in my head I'm eating it and as the flavors come, I'm like, oh my god, this tastes exactly like krayasad. But at the same time, it's different, you know, like same but different because it's oatmeal and there's other stuff in it. But it's so good. It's such a unique flavor. The coconut, the palm sugar, and it's a simple combination that really produces a unique tasting granola. This will go great on yogurt. You can eat it on its own. You can top ice cream with it. You can put it on top of muffins and then bake that. I mean, there's so many different uses for granola. Most of the time I eat it with yogurt or just on its own, just like that. And that is it. I hope you give this a try and I hope you really enjoy it. Let me know what you think once you've made it. And the recipe, as always, will be on hotthaikitchen.com. And if you haven't subscribed to the show, make sure you do so you don't miss a recipe. And click the bell icon as well so you get a notification when I post a new video. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time for your next delicious Thai meal. Did you see that? Coming fall out of my mouth.